Wish I could tell you wish I could tell you I've seen the light, but the shadows keep falling till we get it right. The road before us will twist like fate. Come tomorrow morning, I'll ride away. When prayers are answered, love grips the stars. All the pieces fall into place, erase the scars. Whisper you love me, tonight I'll stay. Come tomorrow morning.
I heard you wanted a tour.
Yeah, Evan Summers, man.
Dennis.
This is a picture of me and Evan on the balcony of our apartment in Flushing, New York. It's the last apartment we lived in before we moved to California. Leonora Summers.
Brakes. It dawned on us recently, they're not a luxury. Hey, Winston, can you bring the charger out here, man? I had a friend die recently, and I just haven't found a way to really deal with his death. He was disabled, he was in a chair, he was spinal cord injured like me. I've known him for about 25 years. And I know he spent a lot of time thinking about whether there would be a cure in his lifetime, whether he would live to see a cure and walk again, perhaps. But I also know that this guy, Richard, he never lived a fulfilling life. He had a lot of money from a lawsuit settlement related to his injury. So he was able to buy a lot of things that a lot of us get for free. But he was an incredibly motivated individual. He went on auditions and he got acting roles. He became a consummate pool player. He was even beating people who weren't in wheelchairs. But Richard, he never found his place in life. He never settled in on a comfortable relationship. All the things that most other people sort of take for granted.
I've seen the light, but the shadows are falling till we get it right.
It's very impressive, and it's very, you'll notice this once you get on the road, that motorists, everybody on the sidewalk, they're all doing double takes, but what is that?
The biggest mistake was messing with the neurology of the bike. You know, the wiring. We cut wires. So we could go on the road and drive across country safely on a death trap machine built by moi. We sliced brake cables and cut wires, just to give us something to do before we took off.
That was smart. That was smart, buddy.
After his accident that he went and he got his high school diploma through Santa Monica College. He did that on his own. When he graduated from high school, that was very moving. He was still newly injured, you know, only a year or two, and he couldn't get up on the stage and because of the wheelchair. That was very moving. College was good, and then he went to UC Santa Barbara, and he took a double major, and he wrote a play, and they produced it while he was there. But his double major was in sociology and I think in psychology. And then after he graduated there, he got into his own apartment. He got into 2 master's programs which he wanted to do simultaneously, one at Northridge in psychology and one at Loyola. That was it was too much to do. So he opted to go, and he went and got his master's at Loyola.
I met Richard in the hospital when I was doing my chronic rehab at 16 after my injury. And I asked him about various issues related to getting your life going again after disability, and he talked to me through the driving process, and I had countless other questions for him, and became friends. I mean, if we're done Tuesday night, and you're game, I'm just jumping on the road and heading out in the cool of the evening.
Yeah, and if the brakes still have a little air in the lines, we can bleed them on the side of the road or something.
Right, okay. Sounds good. If the engine needs an overhaul, stop at the side of the road, right? I don't want to say it's all about him, but Richard's death was a catalyst for me. I think he was facing the same kind of midlife crisis I am. Hey, you can be in a chair and have a midlife crisis. It's not I mean, everyone thinks living life in a chair is an ongoing crisis. Well, you learn to manage. And who would have thought that after learning how to handle being in a chair, somebody might have issues, midlife crisis issues, like Richard and I, after having conquered this, living life in a wheelchair. Well, we did. I think my ongoing issue is, my ongoing personal crisis is a little bit like his. I just feel like I'm floating in a sea of confusion. And Richard's last words to me before he got really sick were, "Ev, do you think we'll ever walk again?" We hear the press releases from Chris Reeves' people, and I think the man is amazing. But are we hearing the truth? How close are we? The bike is a character in and of itself. It really doesn't matter who's driving it. I'll tell you, I'm a humble individual, and although I'm proud that I was able to assemble something like this, I used the help of a talented welder, a couple of machinists, and a really good friend of mine, Charlie. We spent years putting two of these things together, one of which I sold. A couple really talented friends of mine wrote a screenplay about a wheelchair biker who had an extraordinary adventure in Sturgis, South Dakota, a Western. I can't believe this movie hasn't been produced yet, but Hollywood's riddled with stories like that. The great screenplays go unproduced, and the trash makes it to the Hollywood blockbuster A-list. Anyways, I'm following in the footsteps of that character in a sense, who went through a tremendous journey, soul-searching journey, experience of a lifetime in Sturgis, where good met evil and overcame, where the fact that he was a wheelchair biker was just it meant that he was one of the crowd.
You gotta be gifted, you know. You gotta have a dream. You have to dream it before you become that.
The day I first saw you was the day that I knew.
I'm just anticipating, quite honestly, a rebirth. LA sort of swallowed me up. It's a tough environment here, very competitive. Trying to make it as a commercial television writer, very competitive business. Who would have thought that the teaching business, teaching writing, teaching screenwriting, would have been almost as competitive? Through budget cuts and a variety of other little unexpected factors, I'm out of work. The bike is based on a '78 Honda Automatic, originally billed as the automatic motorcycle, no clutch. Women will love it. Which I think was a real miscalculation, because that ad campaign came after the feminist movement was long started. So anyways, it has no clutch. I'm able to put linkages on a sidecar. It looks a lot like a Roman chariot, you'll see. And switch over to the steering, gas and brake, and gear shift lever. I'm able to completely operate it by hand. The sidecar is my creation. The motorcycle is Honda's.
I'm gonna live like that no tomorrow. I'm gonna live it up, baby, no time for sorrow. I'm gonna love and let the cards fall where they want to, let them fall. No baby, know how to get on. I'll turn this world upside down. Take it.
2 seconds after noticing the Welcome to Nevada sign, we were hit by lights and a siren. Cop pulled me over immediately. Jumped out of his car, personally offended that I was driving as slow as I was. So I was thinking maybe he needed a slap, Zsa Zsa Gabor style. But he backed down. He seemed pretty apologetic. He just said, look, maybe you want to take an alternative route.
I'll turn this world upside down, take it for a spin, tell everybody I don't care. If I lose or I win, no place on this crazy little planet that I would rather be. A bright light's calling, baby, they're calling me. I'm gonna live a life down tomorrow.
Hopes and dreams for tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, Saturday, August 2nd. Really hope to be further along than we are. I wanted to be in North Utah, maybe around Salt Lake City. So, given the miles I was able to achieve today, I'm hoping that maybe we can get close to Salt Lake City tomorrow.
Anyone can be injured at any time, stricken down out of their active lifestyle. Chris Reeve is a perfect example. Nobody wants this.
It was a body surfing accident.
It was a gunshot wound.
I got a car accident last year.
Gunshot wounds?
It was a snow skiing accident.
I got hit by a drunk driver down in Orange County.
I just reared, leaped forward, and bucked, and my back snapped in the air.
Sometimes they look at you like you're an animal. You know, we're just people. We're just in the chair, that's all.
I don't know if any person who gets a spinal cord injury who in the first year doesn't think, I want to kill myself. Because, you know, we bring those prejudices with us into the disability.
My boyfriend he didn't feel comfortable with me because all of a sudden, like he's saying, I cannot pop on the car and go. He has to take the wheel off, and he feels so horrible to go out with me because very troublesome.
A cure for spinal cord injury would also result in, major new therapies for multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, all neurological disorders. It's a breakthrough that is near and needs to be pursued vigorously now more than ever. I have visited a few lab researchers.
Would be able to
To the public, they're all saying, we want them to walk again. That's bullshit. Help these poor devils. But what they're really doing is looking for ways to rewire the nervous system that can help Alzheimer's, that can help a lot of other things.
There will always be disability. I believe we should be and always must be moving toward overcoming what we can. And once you're a newly injured person, once an accident has occurred, all you can think about is cure. But inevitably, the human spirit will dominate, and in this society of all societies, this incredible society of ours, this first world society, where opportunity abounds, you can have a spinal cord injury and get on with your life.
Like we thought maybe we'd be making about 350, maybe even 400 miles a day. But the heat's a killer. The only way I seem to be able to handle it is ice cold water. Quadriplegics, don't mean to complain, but hey, just for your information, the body doesn't self-regulate its own temperature. No sweating mechanism. Don't sweat much. So, water cools me off. Looks ridiculous. It's all part of the job.
How you feeling?
Good, a little cramp in the shoulder. It's kind of hard to hold the steering wheel. Fight the urge of the bike to come around in front of the sidecar. But I'm holding up. Seen a lot of bikers on the road. Can't be the one that gives up, man. Gotta get there. Gotta get to Sturgis, man.
Somehow this bike reverses everything. People see you on this machine, which spells Yankee ingenuity, which spells overcoming disability, and they feel good. They don't just feel neutral, they feel good. You've taken them to the other end of the spectrum, where they're just thrilled to come up to you and start introducing themselves, patting you on the back, giving you the thumbs up.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Love the equalization factor, because I've long since felt like the attitude of the populace has a bearing on me. I'm not immune. I'm not an island. So finding out that I can bring smiles to people's faces while hurtling down the highway in a machine of my own creation, just totally under my control, yeah, it's a really satisfying experience.
The biggest problem was that people would see the disability, and people continue to see the disability and not the person. They think that my life is defined by because I can't walk.
When I was walking, I saw somebody in a wheelchair, and I said, man, if I ended up like that, I'd probably just party every day. I wouldn't care, you know. I ended up in the chair, and I cared.
Everybody has a certain capability to reach down in there, suck it up, and grab something deep down in us that keeps us going.
We all want to, we all want to get out of the chair. That's the goal, Who wants to be in the chair for life, It's tough. You got to be real strong for that.
Just because you're in a chair doesn't mean that you can't still do things. There's so many activities that you can do and still live a full life.
The majority of spinal cord injuries occur in the area of the neck. And when a spinal cord injury occurs in the neck, then it affects the function in the arms and the legs. And when somebody has a loss of function in the arms and the legs, that's called quadriplegic. So a quadriplegic is somebody who's had a spinal cord injury at the level of the neck, which is called the cervical region in medical terminology. A paraplegic is somebody who has lost function in just the legs, and that's because the injury has occurred below the neck level, so either in the chest or lower down here in the lower back. And so a paraplegic still has good use of the arms, but has, of course, lost the function of the legs, and along with that, bowel function, bladder function, and frequently sexual function as well. And, of course, the ability to feel anything below the level of the injury.
I cannot feel anything, so I hurt myself. I do, like even my leg drop on the ground. I don't know it. I still wheel my chair, and I just cut myself last night.
So it's more than an inconvenience, right?
It's not only inconvenience. It's also like it cannot protect me. I will get hurt easily. So also like look at the bowel, bladder program. No, it's not only inconvenient, it's horrible.
It's a huge burden.
It's a huge burden because of me. I have a bladder spasm. And then my leg all the time. And I'm a girl. A year ago I was
right.
Okay girl right now. It leaks. And then that's why it gives me nightmare. I feel so embarrassed in front of people, and I don't want to smell. That's horrible.
One of the worst things that one can go through when one has a spinal cord injury is spending an hour or two trying to empty your bowels in the morning when you get up, or the procedure of having to put a catheter into your bladder 3 or 4 times a day.
Well, I've been passed twice now by the same people whose RV broke down and had to return to Vegas, so it tells you what kind of time we're making. Getting about 100 miles per tank full. So you really want to get to Sturgis by tomorrow night. It's the opening night. And people get there weeks in advance, I hear, at least days. But I'd like to be there for the opening night because a couple bands I'd like to hear, and there should be a personal triumph, so we're going to see if we can press on without stopping. Hey, it's your son again. Ogden, Utah this time. Got a little swollen leg phenomenon going on. Now, don't panic. It's my leg. I should be worried, but I'm not. We'll see what happens. Maybe it was a little too close to the engine. It's not burned, though. Yeah, I know. Blood clots, ever-present issue. I'm gonna throw my leg up. Might have to modify plans. Alright, I'll talk to you later. Well, I put this compression hose thing on it. Rather distinctly unmanly piece of apparel. But it looks like it's slimmed down. Looks like some of the edema has reduced. So, I'm not too worried.
That you're going to have to do minimum 200, hopefully 200 plus miles a day.
Sure, as long as we just check that leak in oil.
the leaking oil, and then we want to change the oil when we get to Sturgis, if not sooner.
Right.
Probably soon. You know, we could dump it somewhere in Yellowstone.
Right. Oh, big. There's a big funnel in there.
Better days are surely coming soon.
The date, September 11th, is so embedded in everybody's mind. But that was also the date years previously that Evan had his accident, September 11th. That was the first day of school of his second year of high school.
The world is turning over.
Part of the tragedy of spinal cord injury is that most people with spinal cord injuries are younger people. And so fortunately, people survive spinal cord injuries these days. In the 1940s and even in the early 1950s, people didn't survive spinal cord injuries. They would often die of bladder infections that resulted from the loss of bowel and bladder control. But with the advent of antibiotics, people began to survive spinal cord injuries, and now we have a population of about 200,000 people in the U.S. who have chronic spinal cord injuries. There are about 10 to 15,000 new spinal cord injuries per year. And again, unfortunately, most of those people injured are younger people because spinal cord injuries tend to happen either as a result of some activity-related thing like a sports injury, a diving injury.
Surfing injuries, we see that here. Skiing injury, rollerblading, all these activities that appear cool on TV are dangerous.
There was a very low surf, very low waves for quite a period of time. What these lapping waves in the ocean did was build up larger than normal sandbars underneath the water. So I really didn't even get to body surf at all. I ran out just to jump in the ocean. And I thought I was diving into 6 feet of water, which turned out to be more like 6 inches of water.
I was still conscious when they shot me.
You knew it happened?
Yeah, I knew exactly.
But you didn't know what the outcome was.
Well, I knew because
You knew it was pretty serious.
well, they're still coming after me after they shot me, so.
In the hospital?
No, in the street. You know, I was still conscious and they were gonna finish me off. So when I tried to get up, I realized my legs weren't working, you know, and I knew I was paralyzed at that moment.
The world is turning over.
Problem is, this area looks like the campground that Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper and Jack Nicholson are camped in when the rednecks killed Jack Nicholson. Easy Rider. I'm a little worried. Hey, look, they got showers.
Summers was 16 when an accident at a swimming pool landed him in a wheelchair for life. But he didn't let that take away his freedom. He built a special motorcycle and hit the open road.
Climbing on this thing, there's a certain level of excitement you just don't get anywhere else. There's a level of satisfaction knowing you built the thing, that in fact it actually worked.
Evan is traveling from LA to New York to raise awareness of spinal cord injuries, and he's not alone. He's being followed by a 6-person camera crew. They're shooting a documentary called The Cure Seekers. They hope to inspire others the way Evan has inspired them.
And the inspiration is that here's a guy who's disabled, but really not, you know. And that's neat. If he can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it.
Evan says when people see him on the road, heads turn.
I imagine I'm responsible for some serious whiplash. People doing a double take as they drive by.
But he can't forget the real reason for his travel.
We are really close to a cure. It is not far away. And I think just being able to express those words and give everyone a little bit of hope is really important. Chris Reeve has done it, and I guess I got to say I'm doing my small part.
So if you see Evan on his sidecar motorcycle, wave hello. In Rexburg, Jamie Woodman, KIFI Local News 8.
What was it that caused your injury?
I was 16 and I had a diving accident. I dove into swimming. Miscalculated shallow in from deep. Dove in, broke my neck. Paramedics thought I was probably some like post-hippie running around getting high, and they sent me home. The next morning, the first day of 11th grade, when I couldn't get up, my family had to take it seriously. Something was wrong.
How can somebody like me help in this fight for spinal cord, a cure for spinal cord injuries? How can I help?
Well, I could tell you over a long dinner, candlelight, wine, maybe a steak, maybe some fish.
That doesn't sound too bad.
All right, deal. I'll be back through here someday.
The main problem after spinal cord injury is that people lose connections between cells in the spinal cord and the brain and the muscles and the sensory fibers that are required to support normal function. And that's the main problem, that these connections are disconnected. The spinal cord is like an immense telephone wire, if you will, or telephone cable. And there are more than 1 million connections passing back and forth. And in a spinal cord injury, these connections are cut or crushed. And the problem is they don't naturally regenerate. They sprout a little bit. They show some intrinsic capacity to try to recover, but there's just not enough there to restore those connections. And restoring those connections is fundamental because those million wires project to very specific locations.
What we can do is to decompress your spinal cord and to inject embryonic cells that have been cultured from brain, in this case from shark. Since embryonic cells are going to be growing organs, the precursors of the cells are there and would be forming new organs.
Patients are willing to go through different things that are totally unsounded scientifically. And there's a study going on in Mexico, for example, with a fetal shark being injected in the spinal cord.
Yeah. So
fetal shark.
Shark.
Bluefin
shark. One side you do the neural cells, the other side you do the spinal cord cells.
I'm well aware of the fact that there are many clinics in the U.S. and outside the U.S. That claim to have dramatic cures for spinal cord injury. I can tell you that those cures, or rather that those claims, are false.
There's been a lot of work in basic molecular biology lab demonstrated that the central nervous system contains what we call primitive cells, or the term we use is neural stem cells.
Our approach to trying to promote spinal cord regeneration is to take an approach of genetic engineering and to take cells from, in most cases, rats in our studies and grow those rat cells up in the test tube. We then genetically engineer the cells. We genetically modify the cells to make growth factors. And then we implant the rat's own genetically modified cells back into its own spinal cord after a spinal cord injury. And there's been decent progress with this.
We've been able to harvest these neural stem cells from patients who undergo elective brain surgery. This is quite unique because most of the researchers so far have focused on these stem cells harvested from embryos. And our study demonstrated that these can be found also in the human adult.
Okay, it's gone from, we'll be at Sturgis August 4th, the day they open, we'll stay the whole week, to, are we ever going to make it? Well, yes! We're going to make it by the last day at least. We'll be there on the last day and we'll live it up.
Every guy that I've ever met seems to think that a quality journey, one that's really, ultimately of, worth in conveying to future generations, will have a romantic encounter along the way. This is absurd.
or driving hard every day. There's no time for any of that. Plus, at 45 years old, I'm starting to think maybe I'm past that point. Certainly feel like I can exude the appropriate level of charisma to make people respond appropriately, to sidle up to folks and make them feel comfortable with what I'm doing and who I am. But I'm starting to wonder if that ineffable attractiveness that seemed to draw women to me is a thing of the past. It's a difficult thought to entertain. I think that if you ever come to that conclusion, certainly at my age, you set yourself up for despair. I think it would be a hindsight type of issue where maybe 70 or 80, you look back and you said, I've had a very full life, I've had love in my life, friends, family, challenges, I've had achievement, I've lived a full life, but it didn't happen to include a permanent partner. I've had long-term relationships, none of them recently, and I keep wondering, is that period of my life over? I don't want it to be, but I feel like taking charge of that destiny is just a strangely and indescribably difficult concept right now. I don't know what steps to take. This is my kind of lame understanding, and that is, man, this is powerful. This is beautiful. This is so much bigger than me. And this is like godlike, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, John Wayne made most of his movies here.
We have not seen restoration of function based on stem cells yet, but there's every reason to believe that they may be useful in forming one component of a treatment for spinal cord injury.
And in this case, we don't have any transplant rejection problems, any problems with transmittable diseases, nothing like that. But what it requires that we will drill a hole into your brain and we will take a little bit of the stem cells from your brain.
We talked about that.
Yeah, okay.
There is one other possibility, incidentally. Some species of animals naturally regenerate their spinal cords, like salamanders. If you cut a salamander's spinal cord, it will regenerate its spinal cord, it'll walk again. And how does it walk again? Well, one very promising line of research is to try and understand exactly what happens. When people have a partial injury, if they retrain that circuitry to start going, if they activate it again, turn it on, not with their brain, but by being on the treadmill, in some cases they can regain some activity.
We know the neurons above the level of injury function. They are there, they just miss their target to communicate. So if there's a transmission problem, all the money being spent now on the communication, if we can spend that on the communication between the central nervous system and a microchip.
See, we have one from, what is it? Fonda.
Peter Fonda?
Yeah, I have a picture of him, and then
Writer.
he, yeah, and then he signed the shirt, and I have a picture. So I'm
Aw.
gonna put this next to it.
Sturgis, baby. I made it. I got kiwi pins, I got a bumper sticker, for the local motorcycle accident attorney. He ran right up to me, man. Well, this bike is really getting exposed. If I wanted to open minds, I'm telling you, I'm doing it.
That's cool.
It's all right, man.
Look at that.
That's going in tonight.
Can't stop driving, man.
Really? Where'd you start from?
Los Angeles.
Get out of here. Right
Yeah.
on, man.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Gotta put it on there, brother.
Yeah, I'll find a place, man.
Bring your bike up. Filthy, man.
And you ride too,
Pretty
right?
cool.
Yeah, I got that 81 shovelhead there.
It's a nice bike too.
Theme for my daughter, man. Everybody's got their theme, like you said. Mine is my daughter's passed away.
How old is she, man?
She would have been 18, 5 weeks before she turned 18. And got her name on a car wreck. And but I'd had a premonition before that, you know, and I'm totally convicted in the Lord, brother.
I
There's a
understand.
reason for everything, or else I would have blown my head off and went chasing her, man. But
she's in a better place, man.
Oh yeah, just she'll be there to go right here. Reach out. Come
Looking
on,
in
Dad.
on you while you're
Come on,
riding,
Dad.
man.
Yep. Jimmy Mascio, and this is my cousin Dennis Spargamian.
Take you to do it, Evan.
Okay, buddy. You take it easy, man. Wow.
Right on, brother.
Hey, thanks, man.
So there I was, comfortably ensconced at the Buffalo Chips campground, when it hit me. I've got to do another victory lap through Sturgis.
That about the band canceling, huh?
Ah, yeah, I'm all brokenhearted. No other form of entertainment except this! It's just like Hollywood, man. Kind of the bike will be okay, don't you? Don't take through 2 rainstorms. Yeah. It's not gonna melt. Whoa! That was dramatic.
So where to tomorrow?
Devil's Tower. The Devil's Tower. decided to do some sightseeing in the Black Hills of South Dakota. But first, a brief visit to a rather unique individual I met in Sturgis.
I want to build never seen before equipment for people with disabilities to gain better access to off-road or wilderness areas. You're welcome to stay here through the night. There's plenty of parking here. Evan, it's my warm welcome.
All right, man.
Does that work for you, Evan?
Yeah.
Is that something you want to do?
And that's the nicest offer we've had in 1,900 miles, man.
Yeah, anywhere right there. It's a Honda utility engine. You see them on water pumps, air compressors, a lot of utility equipment. And then they make a go-kart clutch.
Hey, you must have been proud when you got this thing first going and jumped on that thing. A vehicle of your own creation.
When I climbed up on that saddle and all of a sudden I was free flowing through the wind and I had my front fender out there.
Yeah.
And I was on a pair of handlebars and I was up way higher than I was in my wheelchair. I felt like nothing I'd ever felt.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's liberating. This is cool. This is awesome. I'm glad we met.
Yeah, look how hospitable nice this guy is.
I don't feel it was by luck. It's probably by chance.
I think so,
Destiny.
It took us off guard when David said, hey, I've got 7 bedrooms here. You guys are welcome to stay. And fairly insisted, so thought that was fabulous. Warm-hearted small-town hospitality.
I could sustain a lot more than before. You know, people will try to do things to hurt me, and it's not going to hurt me. You know, I've been through so much. You know, so little petty things are not going to hurt me in any way.
Totally happy right now.
And you still want a cure?
Absolutely. Why not?
If I had a choice that said you can go back and be 18 years old again, you will walk for the rest of your life, you don't know what else is going to happen, where you could have this accident and become the person you want. I would choose the accident because I'm a much better person.
Sex is an important part of anybody's life, and that's what most of the spinal cord injury patient wants to have back, is their sexual function.
I don't see any difference trying to recover locomotion or any of the other dysfunctions. The cellular basis is the same. You just have to reconnect the right nerves.
I was one of the first people, quadriplegics, that was able to father children. Now it's becoming more common that people with paralysis are able to have families. Spinal injured females have no problem in conceiving. I mean, there's no problem there.
Hey, Ma, how you doing? We're at Rushmore. Yeah, 2,000 miles later. What else do I have to prove? Think I might be coming home. I'll let you know. Love you too, bye.
Great adventure. But it came to an end. It was time to come back. And all I could think about is Maria. This is 20 years ago. I haven't even seen her. Monument Valley. She said that this was the greatest place to come and get quiet, whatever that meant. I mean, I understood that to mean get away from all the noise of Los Angeles, right? But I think it was more than that. It was some kind of spirituality.
In the last 10 and 20 years, we've unlocked the secrets of genes and how genes function. We have sophisticated equipment and devices for studying the nervous system. I mean, the potential to make progress now is unparalleled in history.
The allocation of money for research is a small amount of money compared to what is spent in destroying people.
The costs of caring for somebody with spinal cord injury through life
is enormous. Several billions of dollars each year is spent on taking care of spinal cord injury patients. So if we take this money and invest it in just research, I mean, we'll have a cure tomorrow.
I really think it was my mission in life, to make people more comfortable with somebody in a chair. And I think it's good for people to have disabled people around. I think it's good for people to have mentally ill people around. I think it's good for people to have retarded people around, because it expands your humanity when you need to adjust.
I don't know if it's a false expectation, but I have the huge expectation that I will walk again. That's how I live my life right now, positively.
That's exactly the phrase that they would use, is that they'd say false hope. You know, you don't want to give anybody false hope. And I thought about that for a long time, and I don't think there is such a thing as false hope. I think hope is something that really motivates people, whether there's going to be a cure or not, you know, in their lifetime or not. Certainly there will be a cure someday.
At least I got here, though.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to head off on my bike here, take the tour?
Well, my time is up.
We talked so like your time. Okay, that's how it's been going for me these last 3 weeks.
Have a good journey.
I have, man, and it really matters that I came here and met you. Kind of was able to like talk it all through.
All right. I'll see you.